I think people shouldn't kind of let the wool be pulled over their eyes. Yes, absolutely. Like RTE are going to hit their 20 by 20, but like, really, is it enough? And it shouldn't just finish in 2020 on the back of this campaign. It needs to like continue and drive. Yeah, definitely the first minor step, because 20% of the media coverage that already exists, if I'm honest, is all. Like,
Play by Play on Sports Joe and Her, brought to you by AIG in support of 20 by 20.
Right, well, that's a crap weekend for Irish rugby. It's pretty crap here in studio as well, pretty forlorn. Not that the panel, like the people on the panel are crap, it's just this is Niamh McEvoy's last show for a while. She's fecking off to sunny Melbourne. But I'm fine, so we're good. Buckle up. The next 45 minutes are going to be great. Okay.
And that was also a crap intro.
Thanks, but that's what I'm sticking with throughout the course of this season 1 play-by-play. Every single one of my intros has been absolutely horrific, so why not fix something that's already so badly broken? Right, well, Dublin footballer Niamh McEvoy is back on the show. Dublin Camogie player Aisling Maher is back on the show. Surrounded by Dubs. It's super great. Okay, let's talk about rugby first, yeah? Oh, welcome. Sorry, welcome. It's great to have you both here.
Thank you so much for having us.
Look, now everyone is at ease. I'm such a great host. Right, okay, firstly, did you guys get to watch the rugby match?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
It's just like, I'm not taking this one. Yeah, swing it right back to you. Great.
I really enjoyed the Japan game.
Oh, Japan. They're my favourite of the whole tournament. They're just amazing. Let's talk about Japan. Yeah, let's just...
I think everybody just automatically switched to supporting Japan after
I
having
know,
beaten
I was like
as well.
totally rude.
So it was like it was a double blow then.
Yeah, so
Two
basically,
losses in one weekend,
whoever we're going to support is going to lose. So go England. Is that what we're saying? Great. Okay, so it started unbelievable. Haka 0, Fields of Athenry once. I was like, yes, totally. Like
we're winning.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. and then
the rugby happened.
And then and then kick off and stuff started going downhill. I know, like it wasn't great. So final score 46-14. It's just so tough because like they didn't have the most amazing performances in the lead up to the tournament, but they got like the wins that kind of mattered. They got themselves to the quarterfinals, and then we're kind of all hoping it would build off from there. Like it's the World Cup, it's Rugby World Cup. You're going to face the All Blacks if you want to go to the final. We just met them earlier than we would have liked. They're brilliant. We were not. I
think there's such disappointment about it because of how well 2018 went. Obviously they had an incredible year in 2018, so there was like a level of expectation there, and I think it's being a bit generous to say they did well. They got to the quarterfinal because like that's what the very least of what was expected of them based on the previous year that they'd had. So I think sometimes it can happen as well. It happens in my own sport. Like well done to them for getting there, but like every team that's going to the World Cup is expecting and trying to get out of the group, the kind of way. So that's probably being kind, but fair play to you. Yeah. But I think in the run up to the All Blacks game, I don't know if you ever you've been on the bus going somewhere, maybe in the National League or something. It's like just the previous game didn't go well and you haven't yet got a chance to fix it yet. The way the National League's like one game after another, but I had a sense that they weren't going to win. And it's exactly what I expected to happen based on what had been happening for the last month or so and based on what had been happening this season. So I don't know, you obviously...
Yeah,
if you're honest with yourself, did you expect it?
My head was saying the All Blacks, they've been playing really well. They were well rested. They had some of them hadn't played since early October, which is huge. And then what they've done they've mixed up the whole play. You're looking at the All Blacks that we beat in Chicago, and again, outstanding team. We play better. Lansdowne Road. Again, a very different All Blacks team, but really strong. Some of their core players in there, and we played really well. We had an exceptional game, and everyone was firing, sharp, and there was a very low error count. you know, the usual really low penalty count. I think there was only 5 in that game, which is unbelievable for a rugby team. And it's one of the things that Schmidt demands of his players, like very, very disciplined play. But the All Blacks, they just can change. Not so much, no one changes how they play, but they're able to adapt. And like this didn't work, even though they still had like at the time some of the best wingers in the world, like Julian Savia. They were able to. He went off to Toulon, and they were okay with losing like their Jacob Stockdale. It was like fine, and they slotted in George Bridge and exceptional players. And they changed how they played. So instead of having World Player of the Year, Bowden Barrett at fly half, they were perfectly okay and backed themselves to be like, yeah, he's brilliant, he's clearly unbelievable, but we're comfortable enough to move him to a full-back position, stick in someone like Richie Mwanga, who's a different type of fly half, and you've got like essentially a very different ball game, and it's so difficult to play against. Now, they were exceptional. Kieran Reid was unbelievable, and Ireland just like, it's very tough. We had like, and again, like Schmidt talked about it after the game, had a few injuries going into it, and there was a kind of a negativity going into it, not from the players. I think when you're in that position, I don't think you let it creep in. You always have that belief, even if no one else does. I know in 20.
But I think you always have a sense of whether you're playing well or not.
Oh, players aren't stupid. They know, like
They
you
haven't.
know.
Well, obviously they did in the last group game or whatever, but like, do you know, they had a sense that they hadn't been playing well for the whole tournament. Like, do you know, if I was going into an All Ireland final, I wouldn't be going into an All Ireland final if I wasn't playing well, if the team hadn't been playing well. But like, I would have a sense, and then that's what I mean in the National League. Like, you know, people are coming back late, people have injuries and stuff. It's week on, the games and stuff, and you just have a sense of whether the team is playing well or not. And that's just what I meant by that. Like, they had to have been going into that game knowing that they weren't playing as well as they were last year. Like,
I guess as players, you've no choice but to look at that situation and know that definitely does happen, and you can know you've not been performing. Given the performances they did put in against, albeit slightly different All Blacks teams last year, they probably were holding on to that sense of like, we're really due a performance. We've not had our like big moment yet.
Yeah.
And like, I guess they know what they're capable of as a team, and even though they were missing players and stuff like that, I'd say that was the one thing that I was kind of still hanging on to going into the game.
Like sometimes
will
obviously,
we get that?
if
When your
are
back's against the wall, like very much so. Sometimes it's kind of like, right, but I think the All Blacks are smart enough to, like, even if we did have that energy going in of like, you know, we're corners, but sometimes that's when teams can be their most dangerous. But I think one of the things that makes, I know I'm talking about like New Zealand a lot, but I don't think they ever, like, they've learned their lesson from underestimating Ireland, and they weren't going to do it again.
Yeah.
And they prepped. They were so prepared for like our Andy Farrell flying up, really aggressive defence. And not a lot of teams have the skill set to deal with something like that. Yeah. But even the likes of a big physical centre like Goodhue was just hitting those out the ball, like in-depth passes. So it was hitting the wings to their dangerous players. So... sorry,
we believe you.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, like did you get to read, or were you reading any of the media surrounding? Do you think that there was a little bit of, you know, negativity from, well, Irish journalists in particular, just kind of in the lead up?
Yeah, definitely. I think there was massive expectation on the Irish team going into this World Cup. I think, like Niamh said earlier, the fact that we were as successful as we were in a lot of the games last year, and we got as high as we did in world rankings at the time, I think people probably had an expectation that, you know, breaking quarter-final stage in the World Cup was what was next. And, you know, people were probably nearly looking past semi-final stages even at one point last year. And when that expectation is there so far before a competition, it then means that as soon as you go in and you put up, you know, a couple of mediocre performances, or you don't beat Japan, you're immediately going to get slated from every direction. And that's one thing that we're pretty good at as Irish, I think, anyway, isn't it?
Oh,
like
we
giving
love,
out about our athletes.
But we also love a bandwagon. Like, we're playing well, we're like, we are class!
But sure, the amount of people who had the wrong quarter-final tickets,
Yeah.
the amount of people on Twitter being hello, swapsy. Like,
but then as well, I think that's when because I was thinking of going over, and then I didn't want to jinx it. So I was kind of like, okay, if I buy quarter-final tickets, and if I pick, and if I assume that they're going to play second, in my head I was being like, that would jinx the team, and it's not what they need. Like as in, imagine if they're like, oh, like
Jenny Murphy jinxed us.
yeah, this is all her fault. I think we come second. I was like, oh no, like radiate positivity and everything will be fine.
By staying in Ireland.
Yeah. No, I checked out my bank account and it was just
Not positive.
yeah. I was like, oh, I can't even afford an Air Sports subscription. So good stuff. So I streamed it. It was great. Oh, American commentary, by the way, absolutely woeful.
Oh, girl.
Oh, they're at the line of scrimmage. And you're like,
Are they?
yeah, great. New rule. So, okay, right. So now that we've kind of like a little bit into it, like it was actually really interesting. Before the game, Sexton gave an interview and he was talking about the Irish negativity in media and like he'd already, like there was some kind of jabs at a lot of the players being over the hill and like too old, which I don't agree with. Then they were saying that like the starting team was tired. I know that Pat, you know, you met you,
Yeah.
but he had his own new starting lineup of young bloods. I don't know where I'm going with this really. I'm just kind of like, I'm just still sad and a bit emotional about the whole thing. But do you think, when is it, for players when they're getting a little bit more experienced, is there a temptation to leave on a high or kind of like your performances, I guess, dip a little bit and then you kind of, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but when is the right time to step away? Like I know we're losing one of our best players. Rory Best has been outstanding for this team for years.
Like based on what Pat was saying during the week, like he was just giving examples of what is available there now, like to kind of replace what we're losing after the World Cup. But I don't think not that Pat was saying this, but I don't think it's appropriate to speak in such a way that maybe these players should have been in for the World Cup, because if you said before the World Cup, listen, like we're not bringing Rory Best, like he should retire.
Oh yeah, that's a shot. Like
Like
even
this
stuff like
crack, like there's a lot. Now obviously I know I shouldn't get lost in the Twitterverse, but like there's lots of that crack going on about the lads who are 30s in this day and age. Isn't that, like, obviously in guy years, like 30, not in real life, 30 is not old in real life, but in guy years, like 30 is old enough, but like it's still not too old. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
so
it's the easiest thing to jump on when somebody is having, they're like, age, and you're like, that's lazy.
But at the end of the day, like the 30-year-olds who were playing for Ireland have been our best players over the last number of years, and you're not going to, like, you would expect them to be, we needed them to play in the World Cup. So people saying now that this person should have been there for that person and this, that and the other, like, maybe he did go with experience and tried and tested, but like we had a brilliant 2018 like 12 months ago. So yeah. I don't, you know what I mean? So I just think there was something that wasn't clicking, and that level of expectation, absolutely. Like there was a huge level of expectation going in, and then it kind of, the Japan defeat just became this, like the media, there was just a snowball. There was so much talk about the losing bonus point, you know. I don't know. I think everybody giving out retrospectively now is kind of like grinding my gears. I'm just like, it didn't go well.
Click.
Like,
and then we met the best rugby team in the world. Like we met them in the quarterfinals,
and they played really, really well.
The other side of the draw, like, do you know, you could reach a World Cup having played, do you know, Nambia, Italy. I'm not into this thing where it's like the other, but like the other side of the draw is easier. Like,
yeah, it's definitely a nicer draw.
Yeah. No, and that's absolutely no disrespect to Wales and France, but I just think England and New Zealand is a tougher.
That's going to be a huge semi-final.
Yeah,
but that's where they're meeting. It's definitely, for me anyway, they seem to be the two strongest teams in terms of performance at the moment. Yeah. I think the Boks have had a loss. Wales didn't play particularly well against France either, so both shaky on the other side of the semi-final. But then this is like, it'll be really interesting to see a Hansen-Jones matchup and what they're capable of doing.
Yeah. Boom. I don't know. I just feel as though like Ireland, had they been on the other side, could be in a semi-final. Even like, I just think the All Blacks are like operating at a different level at this stage. So poor guys.
Okay, yeah, but they had loads of ramen and sushi, and we're still really, you know, I still I'm still really proud of him. So that's a bit sappy, but it's fine. Okay, all right, moving on to something even sexier than rugby, pay parity. Unbelievable. So female players at this week's World Cup Nines tournament.
Make that noise again.
Yeah, that's for audio. It's going to be great. I'm fist punching, by the way. Anyway, keep going. Just keep going. Thanks, Mackers. You were interrupting my flow. Female players at this week's World Cup 9, so in the NRL, the Rugby League, they're set to receive the same amount of payment as their male counterparts. So, step forward. So there'll be a pay parity between all the teams in this upcoming Oceania Cup. So it's like Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, New Zealand. So I think they'll receive like something like $2,500 or something. And it's going to be adapted for their 2021 World Cup. So this is a massive step forward since the 2017, like when both male and female players didn't receive any payment at all. But we want to talk about, and what Niamh Maher, the producer, wants to talk about is she's like, get back to the books, look at the books and the accounting that's going on within the women's games and sport. So like we see time and time again that, women will never receive the same amount of money as men, and it's because they don't generate enough money. So it's when you're talking about a business model, like why would we even invest that? But do you guys think it's time to look at how women's sport is marketed so that we don't have to keep on kind of falling back on that old chestnut? Yeah, definitely. I think like we had a prime example of this as well with the Women's World Cup over the summer with the soccer. Like the USA team, are like, they're a perfect example for a counter argument to that point because they generate so much income in America. They're like more popular than the men's team in loads of ways, but they're getting nowhere near the same amount of pay and
from their own federation.
Yeah, exactly. And it's ridiculous when you see the performance that they're putting on. They're winning World Cups. They have huge followings behind them, and they're like a really successful sports team in every way. And they're literally struggling to get anything near what their male counterparts are getting. Like you can see the women's soccer players over there are retiring and having to go back and find careers in soccer or go back to jobs that they qualified in before they were playing sports because they can't afford to retire on anything near a salary that would like support them for the rest of their lives. And I think that while there's obviously an argument there that if a women's sport team isn't generating the same amount of income as their male counterparts, you can't pay them the same amount. That's a typical example, or that's a classic example where women are generating more than their male counterparts and still aren't seeing the benefits from it. And that's where I get really frustrated about the whole thing. That's where that makes no sense to me. Yeah. And I think that they did a really good job, like you're saying, about the marketing in the Women's World Cup again for soccer this year with that marketing. Some of the videos that they had for, I think it was the Swedish football team and the USA as well, had unbelievable marketing videos out before, and the support that they got was huge. Like the games were selling out from quarterfinal stage on, I think. So there's people there that want to go and see those games. And, it's similar to a lot of female sports that if we get that marketing right and we get people to attend the games, a lot of people seem to be coming away from them at the end saying, oh, actually, the women are really good, or oh, actually, they can really play. Like, I'm not a massive soccer fan, but I'd watch women's soccer before I'd watch men's soccer because there's way less jumping around the place. There's way less acting involved.
More honesty.
There's actually just probably better football played in it. So I think that marketing and that kind of product placement or getting the right people to the games will definitely bring the sport onto another level and hopefully can get women a step closer.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just what you were saying in terms of like pay parity and that thing you were saying there, like the corporations or the associations or whoever it is who's heading up whatever sport you're talking about, that they fall back on, they say, well, the women don't generate as much money, so how can we pay them the same? Like that's from the US women were looking for money from their own federation based on their World Cup performance. So the men would get something. It was like, I think it was a massive discrepancy. I think it was like 50,000 and like 500,000 or something like that. It was ridiculous.
A zero in the difference.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but if there's a really good example over in the States as well, so it's like the WNBA and the NBA, and that's what it always falls back to with them. But it's exactly that. It's like they don't get half as much marketing and things like that. And it's like, oh well, they don't generate as much money, but like, how are you going to generate any more money if nobody knows the games are even on?
Exactly.
Like, and like I was listening to an NBA or WNBA player speaking during the week, and she was saying, in the men's game, like the marketing and things like that, like it's just a cost like of their accounts during the year, so it goes under cost. And whereas like when it's spoken about as women, it's like, oh, that's an expense that we don't, that's a luxury and an expense that we don't have. So often in like women's sport it's seen as an expense, but in men's it's just like, oh, it's just a cost of the association of the game, of whatever it is, you know, the kind of way. So
but I don't think it even has to be a cost for women's sport. Like, we should be looking at it as an investment.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, so it's an investment in the men's. That's exactly what I meant. Sorry, but in the men's thing, it's like an investment in the sport or whatever. But in the women's, it's like a cost and an expense.
Yeah, and you can see the direct effects of it. Like, I think LGFA is doing it quite well over the last number of years. Like, you can see, you know, that escalation in the numbers that are attending the All Ireland final every year is a perfect example of how if you really go out and promote it and you get the kids to come and you get people interested, as soon as you have a viewership there and an audience there, they can see the quality of the product that they're getting. And, you know, when you get people then that are genuinely interested in the sport, it's so much more valuable as a brand and as a sport, and there's so much more that can be made back out of it from those people that are following it. I think you're dead right. We just need to change the way we're looking at it in women's sport.
And would you guys like to see whereabouts that money is actually going? Like, we get these amazing corporate sponsors, and you know, they put their names on things, and it's, you know, it's good. We're getting investment into women's sports, but where is that actually going?
Yeah. Sorry, like, I think there's been some amazing campaigns and amazing initiatives, like for my sport. Obviously Lidl have been very, very good. Dublin's sponsor AIG have been very good. You know, they sponsor all 4 codes, but like,
is that an equal 4 codes?
No, it's not. No.
Okay.
But it's certainly an improvement on where we were before. Like, we've made massive progress towards equality. I would certainly feel far more equal to the men's setup than I ever have done before in the last number of years. And I do think it's on the back of like increased attendance, increased awareness of our games, increased attendances. I think I said that already.
It's fine. You're highlighting the point.
Yeah, I do. I think the reason I feel more equal and I feel more on a level playing field with the men's team is as a result of all of these different things. But equally, you know, the season's over now, and I would still like to see, you know, a push, like funding now in the off season. Like, I feel equal, but do the young girls in my club feel like equal to the?
Yeah, like if you're training, do the under 18s get better facilities than the women? Do they get better time slots? Like,
yeah,
it's not
I think
all these...
our club, my own club has made great strides in the sense that they just have like a ladies. They have ladies training nights and men's training nights, and like, so they just don't clash. So we're really good in that sense. But
that's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah, it's handy. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I think. Yeah, I would like to see where, you know, even say the 2020 campaign, like that is an incredible campaign, and how many, like, even we're here talking, there's on a Women in Sport podcast, like, it's amazing, and AIG, as I said, have been amazing, but 20% of the media coverage that was already there, like, there was very little media coverage there already, so 20% of that, like
a 20% increase in
something that's small anyway.
Yeah.
So I think people shouldn't kind of let the wool be pulled over their eyes. Yes, absolutely. Like, RTE are going to hit their 20 by 20, but like, really, is it enough? And it shouldn't just finish in 2020 on the back of this campaign. It needs to like continue and drive. Yeah, definitely the first minor step, because 20% of the media coverage that already exists, if I'm honest, is all. Like,
yeah. Well, like, yeah, we know like the increased media coverage and everything that we get with that is great, because it is promoting the game, and more people do get to see like, oh, these are skillful athletes, and, you know, look at their technical ability. But again, you know, where is that, like, put some money into it? Like, there's a stat here like about corporate sponsors. So 2018, according to Statista report, women's sport, they garnered 0.4% of all total sponsorships worldwide.
Yeah.
Commercial sponsorships. So that's like, you know, that's something that can definitely be, you know, that's a solid, like,
Yeah.
any
20%
corporate, like, that's
increase
something
again.
that
But
you could do.
even the tag, like hashtag can't see, can't be, like, yeah, amazing, like amazing campaign, amazing tag, but like money, like that's money. You can't see unless there's money put into it. Like sports worldwide, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you are not. Like Niamh Maher, the producer here, said told me recently that she found it extremely difficult to find my. She actually had a couple of people on the case to find.
She's got her minions, yeah.
To find my games, like my match schedule, because obviously, you know, she wanted me back. But so she was like looking for my games and stuff. And she found she really had to search for it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, if we want people to attend our games and not just attend the biggest game of the season, the last game of the year, they need to know it's on. Do you know what I mean? It should
But it's
be.
like subliminal. I already know
Like,
like
there's-
all these premiership like
Matches
things that
are
are coming
on.
on, and it's not like I actively engage or search for it. It's just
There.
it's kind of there, and it kind of becomes embedded through osmosis, whatever it is, and I don't even realize. But yeah, then stuff that I, you know, I'm actually interested in, like you have to look for like,
Yeah.
you know, Ireland women's cricket. I need to like actively like, okay, what did Leona Maher, what did she par?
Yeah.
Like all these kind of little things that you're like,
But even
it's
even the
hard.
soccer, the last day, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't know if you watched it. I just thought it was a savage game. Like I really enjoyed it. I was speaking to my dad about it, and he was like, "Oh, I'm raging! I didn't know that was on." Like, because he definitely would have watched it as well. But the only reason I knew it
Dave
was
the
on,
Rave. Shout out to Dave the Rave.
well, Dave-o. But the only reason I knew it was on is because Jackie Hurley had texted me 2 weeks previous asking me did I want a ticket, and I was like, what? Like,
Yeah.
do you know? And so like, where's the funding and like obviously there was a massive push in terms of 20 by 20, but they're doing everything they can. Like, who else is going to get behind?
Yeah.
This?
It can't be just
and
like one or two. It needs,
Yeah.
Organisations need to get better at doing it themselves though as well. Like
Yeah.
I know definitely that's something we can do better in Camogie. Like I wouldn't like to say how many games I played this year and like Championship All Ireland final games, and the week of it you're going into it and we're like, oh well, it's on in Dublin. And that's all we know. And we still don't have a pitch, and we still don't have a venue, and it happens way too frequently. And it's a real, you know, downfall from associations, because how can you promote a game when you don't have a pitch for it? Like I play county championship final this Sunday coming with my club team, and I don't know what pitch it's on in. We don't have a venue confirmed for it.
Yeah.
And
Whereas the men's championship games are in Parnell Park.
men's championship games from game one, like not even semi-final, quarter-final stages, every game's in Parnell Park. And yes, you know, Camogie Association isn't part of the GAN, it's more difficult to get Parnell Park, but you get Parnell Park for a final. But Camogie Association haven't organised it, or, you know, don't have a pitch organised. And, well, sorry, Dublin Camogie County Board in this case. But it's just, I think that organisations individually, and that's not to be overcritical of Camogie, I'm probably getting myself in trouble here saying that.
Yeah.
But
There's definitely
I
been
think
improvement there as well.
Yeah, there needs to be an onus on an organisation as well to make that information really accessible to everybody else
Yeah,
to
it's
promote
exactly
it.
what I'm saying about the LGBT. Like, sorry.
make it easy, because then more people will come, and if more people engage and see what's on show,
Yeah.
then they will bring more people along.
But
as
then
well.
on the same hand, not to completely counter what you're saying, like the LGFA do, so like in contrast to what you're kind of saying about the Camogie Association, the LGFA do an amazing job at promoting games on Twitter and stuff. But yeah, the whole schedule wasn't readily available, but they do amazing. But like, it's not enough, because there's people who don't follow
Twitter, yeah.
don't follow ladies football, don't follow Camogie, don't use social media, you
Yeah.
know, the kind of way. So like,
would
I
still attend the
absolutely
games if
agree
they
that the
knew.
associations need to do better, but other people need, if it's 0.04, you know, like of all funding worldwide, like there's a lot of scope there for someone to get behind promoting these events. Like,
So like Jerry Maguire, show us the money.
yeah, can't see, can't be.
Show us the money.
But there's a lot in it. I think there's a lot in it for companies and businesses as well, and I think you can see that with Little. Like the work they've come in and done, AIG coming in across the four codes. How many times has that been discussed? Now I know we don't
The
talk
amount
about
of
ladies
times-
football that
Yeah,
much.
but where is the money that they're, where is that
The
going?
thing is, we like as a player, you're never going to see a breakdown between, you know, this sponsorship gave us, this sponsor gave us this much money and it covered this cost and it covered this cost. Money comes from different places, and as a player, I don't know about you, but I definitely never.
So
know
if you
what
had,
pays
right,
for
if you
what.
had a big wad of cash, or maybe not cash, but if you had, okay, Aisling, here is like a big chunk of money, can't spend it on yourself or any holidays or whatever, but you can put it into your sport, where would you want that to go?
I think like my team or Camogie as a sport.
Camogie is a sport.
Camogie as a sport, I think it needs to go into like marketing and awareness of the game, and I think that we need to be better promoting the game, particularly amongst younger players.
Yeah.
Like the amount of younger players, even in my own club, that wouldn't know when, you know, they're playing Camogie, they love Camogie, they're obsessed with Camogie, and they wouldn't know when we have a match on with Dublin. And I think
but there's an aspirational factor there. Like if they're not seeing like you guys
see it, they can't be
yeah.
it.
I don't need to go back to it now. But actually, like if like we have this massive drop off, everybody talks about it all the time at like 14, 15, 16. But like, would that happen if they were going to see women older than that age still playing at a high level, and like hopefully like, or if it was to improve in front of bigger attendances, you know, like there's an aspiration there. And I think, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that like we should be looking at things like AIG coming in over Dublin, and I think that sponsorship across the four brands has worked particularly well for Camogie, say, because it's allowed us to be brought up on the same level as, you know, hurling, ladies football, men's football and everything else. And I think that that's probably a minor scale of what we should be looking at maybe on a more national level for the GAA. I think that it's something that could really bring Camogie on to have a stronger association with the GAA, to have use of better facilities, better pitches, and to be able to, you know, tap into that marketing and that promotion, because I do think that Camogie needs to be marketed better, needs to be seen on a larger scale, particularly for the younger players that are coming up, but also for the general public. Like, you know, hurling and Camogie, fastest field sports played in Europe, like they're brilliant games to watch. And I think it's seen in the fact that the attendances have been as high as they have at the ladies football the last number of years.
Yeah.
Like maybe ladies football is more popular than Camogie, but I don't think it's 3 times more popular or whatever the difference was in the attendance at the All-Ireland finals this year. I think that's a classic example of how we can get another 20 or 30,000 people at an All-Ireland final, or, you know, a percentage increase at games throughout the year if we just market that better. And I think that ladies football are getting there. I'm not saying they're there yet. I'm sure there's loads of room for improvement still, but I think that it's probably the comparison between Camogie and football is probably a typical example of what can be done if the right strategy is taken and the right sponsors come in behind. And I think it's a massive opportunity for businesses to get involved and to bring sports on in that way, particularly female sports, because the rewards are there for the companies and the rewards are there for the sponsorships, and we can see it in the 60,000 kids that come and watch, you know, Dublin playing an All-Ireland final. That's really good marketing for any brand or for any company that comes on board with those teams. And because there's not a huge amount of competition for sponsorship in female sports, companies have the opportunity to be, you know, the only or one of 2 or 3 brands.
Aggressive.
Yeah, exactly, associated with a given team.
Guys, that was actually really good, yeah. I was like, yeah, 100% agree with that. Well, like, it makes sense though as well. Like, it's, even when looking at it from a
like,
rugby
you
point
can do it.
I was just like, yes, nodding. Sorry, they couldn't hear the nodding, so I was like, yeah. No, that's like, well, we'll have to like move on to, we're actually going to market some of our own Camogie right now. We'll have to speak about like the Camogie All Stars.
Yeah.
So, we're doing our thing. Okay, so
Sponsor us.
nice, keep doing that. Okay, so we'll continue on with, you know, promoting Camogie through marketing by talking about the Camogie All Stars, because segue. Okay, Galway led the way in terms of those nominations the weekend. They got a whopper 7. What did you think of the, you know, who claimed the titles? Happy enough with the selection?
Yeah.
Well, you can't really.
I think I should have personally got
There
one.
was no Dublin nomination, so I can't give out about Dublin not winning one this year. But yeah, 7 for Galway I think it's fairly standard. You normally see about 7 for the winning team. Galway pairing in midfield is probably kind of unusual for
that position.
Yeah, two
it's very
from the
difficult
same county. It's very
position
difficult
to get.
So how does the
All-Star
All-Star work in the LGF or in ladies football?
Yeah, I'm not sure how it works in the Camogie, but the pairings of 3 are named. So the 3 cornerbacks are named together, 3 full-backs are named together, and 3 cornerbacks, like, and it goes the whole way up the pitch then. So obviously you can't really chop and change within the lines, or, you know, give,
but like you play
can't.
14, but you're not really a full forward.
I wore 14 for the last number of years, but I've never really played there. So I've been nominated in 14
Oh, so it's
But I don't
it's
actually-
okay. So it's the number on the back essentially for the football.
Well, kind of, yeah, more or less. But like obviously, there's instances where girls have worn different numbers throughout the year, and one of those numbers they're just
Okay.
picked. But so, say for example, last season I wore 14 all year, but I got nominated in 14, but never played there. Like,
Okay.
but you know, but it's fine. Like, it's
Yeah.
grand.
You'll take
Oh,
the
it's
nomination
fine
wherever
being
it's
Like,
going.
thank you.
I don't mind being nominated. It's cool. And what about Camogie?
It's different in Camogie. So the way we would do it is you get nominated in a given line. So for example, if you're nominated in
Oh,
the
very
full
good.
back line, there'll be like 9 names given, but the first 3 names could win number 2, 3 and 4.
Okay.
So it's probably...
So they could all actually realistically play 3.
Yeah.
But they just
Well,
that's good.
Like, yeah and no. It's supposed to be like, you'd still get people being like, well, she played 3 all year, why is she winning an All-Star in 4? But like...
It's not
You're
really that
picking
big.
your
does happen.
strongest
Yeah,
It's
it
line.
does
not
happen.
really that big of a deal.
No,
I just am like,
yeah.
people who say that, I'm like, why are you begrudging this person who deserves an All-Star and an All-Star? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
3 and 4, I'm like, there's about 10 yards in the difference.
Yeah, I mean, if you've 2 unbelievable fullbacks, you're not gonna leave them out. But I think it makes it probably a little bit more difficult to predict the Camogie All Stars than it does with the football ones.
Yeah.
Because maybe you can tell a bit easier if you're just choosing one person out of 3 as opposed to choosing 3 people out of 9. There's like more
Yeah.
combinations that are possible with the Camogie, I
Yeah.
guess. But yeah, so there would have been, say, for midfield for Camogie, there would have been 6 nominations. And obviously, I don't know if football's the same, but for Camogie to be relatively unusual. I don't think it's happened in a while that 2 players from the same county have won midfield.
No, I can't think. I always think, particularly a couple of years ago, Breach Corkery and Breach and Rena, like
Buckley, yeah.
they would have probably both deserved All Stars, but because they were both in midfield, like it was never going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
So exactly what you're
Why
saying
is
there.
that? Sorry, I don't.
It's funny, yeah. I don't know.
Politics.
Yeah,
that's
it's
stupid.
just it
Right.
goes into you know the way these individual awards work. They're lovely. Like if you get
Yeah.
recognised and it's great and all, but like it's just, you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
there can't be more than 7 from. It should just be the best 15 players.
Yeah, I
but
agree. I
don't-
think if
It's like,
Galway win the All
oh.
Ireland and they have the best 15, there should be 15 given to Galway. But it's never the way. I don't think I've ever seen
Well, I
more
don't
than
think it would.
7 or
I don't
maybe
think
8.
would actually be the way either.
No,
though.
but
yeah,
there
yeah.
should be. If on a given year there's 9, then there should be 9 given. Do
Yeah.
you know that kind of way? I
Like I was delighted to see Niamh McEvoy in there because I think even though like obviously her team only got to the quarter final,
Yeah.
but like
furthest
she
they've gotten in a long
is
time. And she's-
unbelievable.
Yeah, Niamh McEvoy has probably deserved an All-Star for the past number of years, to be honest. And
but
it's
because
very,
her team hasn't.
Yeah, it's
so
very
like,
difficult to win one if you don't get to at least knockout stages. So say Niamh won this year, having reached a quarter-final with Limerick.
Yeah.
And typically speaking, it'd be unusual to see somebody win an All-Star if they don't get as far as the semi-final.
Okay.
Now,
she's class.
as it happens this year, there was 3 given to people who got to quarterfinals because Waterford also got 2. Beck Carton won her second one in corner forward, and their wing back got one as well. So, whereas Tipperary got as far as the semi-final, were beaten in the semi-final. I think they had 8 nominations maybe and didn't win any, which is kind of unusual to see a team get that far and not having won any. Now Tip probably didn't really perform in the semi-final. I think Koch Devan was probably very hard done by. She plays full forward for Tip and she's had a really good year. She won one last year, so is probably less likely to win one again this year, which again is...
This is the shit.
I'm sorry. What is
Jenny's
going
mind is
on?
blown.
I'm like, why? Oh, okay, right. Okay, hold on a second.
It's
Why?
Okay. Sorry, and I just want to say that's the case across all of the Gaelic games. This
yeah,
is,
men's and women's.
and it's just so
So it's kind of like, he or she's got one last year.
Even
So
give
we'll give
somebody
it to
else a
someone
turn.
new.
no, it's not always the case. Like obviously, you know, Sinead Aldrich has like multiple All Irelands in a row.
It doesn't happen when you hit All Ireland finals every year. If you hit All Ireland finals and you deserve one, I think you're way more likely to get one.
Yeah.
I think players who play consistently well, Niamh McEvoy being a prime example, and consistently get to maybe don't reach knockout stages or maybe get to quarterfinals, are much more likely to be
Miss out.
overlooked or
Yeah.
to not get one 2 years in a row. And
But I do think there's a lot to be said for playing more games. Like you can showcase yourself and your skills more if you're in the competition longer.
except
But
except that you for Camogie say that kind of doesn't work because if you top your group you end up missing the quarter. You qualify straight for a semi, so you play
less.
actually
the
only
same.
could play if I reach a quarter final and get knocked out in quarter final and you win the All Ireland final, you've actually only played one more game than me.
Okay, yeah.
Because I play a quarter, you play a semi, and then you play the
Oh
final.
my god, I'm learning too much. It's not logical. Right, we're moving on because I'm full. That was ridiculous, but fine. Right, well
done to all the Camogie All Stars.
Yeah.
I've no doubt they all deserved their
Yeah, they do. Sorry,
Yeah.
that wasn't being like, this list of 15 is a joke. Like, not at all.
The last, just
But
to
it's
say one positive thing about Camogie as well, the last thing that I'll say on that is it's good to see for the second time now this year, they are all going on an All Stars tour.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Oh,
Over to New York.
Yeah, it's well
which is only the
deserved.
second time they've ever done it. The inaugural tour was the year before last over to Madrid.
So it's going to be like museums. So much
So
culture.
somebody sponsor it.
Yeah. This is a chance. Oh, that's good. That's
No,
well
it's really good.
deserved. Yeah.
I was on the last trip over to Madrid and it was brilliant. It was really well organised and it's, it's
Are you
incredible for
raging
players.
that you were in Madrid?
Picked the wrong year to play well. Could have
I
been
was
in
to
New
pick
York.
a year to play well.
Yeah. Oh, but you see, two in a row, like, you can't play well 2 years in a row because you're just not going to get nominated. Apparently. Okay, right.
I'll blame that. That'll be my
We'll
excuse.
stick with stick sports. Hockey, right? They're playing class. And we're looking for your help. We want to shout about it a little bit. So Ireland are going to be hosting an Olympic qualifier, so you get a chance to get behind the team potentially going to Tokyo 2020. So key matches that you need to be aware of. So Saturday, 2nd of November, Ireland take on Canada at 7 o'clock. Then, with no break whatsoever, well, like a night's rest, Sunday, 3rd of November, they're against the maple syrup lovers once again at 7:10. Am I allowed to say that? I'm going to keep saying it. Maple syrup's great. Yeah. So Lorna Lawless, well, hold on, I'll say that a bit more. Reporter Lorna Lawless, she headed down to chat to some of the players last week. So let's have a look.
So it's incredible that the game's on in Donnybrook. What will it mean to you to play on home soil? Do you think this will work in your advantage?
Yeah, we're so excited. So we're only 2 weeks away now, really, from the week leading into the game, and just to have that much support, is incredible. And apparently the ticket sales are going really, really well, and just even the new idea of putting a pitch down in Donnybrook, that's never been done before, and there's so much outside interest. So yeah, we're so excited. We just can't wait to get out there.
Obviously, being at home, you have the advantage of the home crowd. To play in such a big tournament, the home support is going to be crucial for us. And I think, playing at Donnybrook, we're going to get a big crowd out there. Hopefully, the biggest crowd that we'll have ever played in front of here in Dublin. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to it, and hopefully we will get that big crowd out to see us.
Yeah, we're just so excited about it. It's something really special that hasn't been done before, laying a pitch in, the Energy Park. So we're so buzzing and we feel the support already building. So we just can't wait for the weekend to come around.
So how are you feeling about the prep of the game? It's obviously very close now. So how's the training regime going down at the moment?
Yeah, to be honest, it's been pretty full on now since about July. We've gone pretty much full time. And yeah, it's been incredible. It's been obviously extremely tough, but we train most days of the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday we're full time together. Then we meet up regionally Thursdays, Fridays. So it's basically full time. So we've had some games as well, which are brilliant to get that match experience in. And we play this week as well. So yeah, it's exciting.
Do you think there's an added pressure this year because I suppose the World Cup performances last year? Do you think it's kind of put a spotlight on you as a team?
Yeah, I mean, the Green Army bandwagon certainly exploded last year during the World Cup, but I think as a group of players we always had that belief there, and there's a group of us that have been in the squad for a good few years now, and it's our third Olympic cycle together, so we always knew that we had something special in us. But I suppose it's always great to get that little bit of publicity and a little bit around it, and now a year on, whoever would have thought that a hockey pitch is being dropped on a rugby pitch? And yeah, it's something that we're really looking forward to.
For us, we feel like the World Cup was a really long time ago. We parked that, a year ago, but people do still talk about it. And if that kind of success at that time brings more support and more excitement around these games, well, that's just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. The spotlight is on us, but I suppose that's always what we wanted in a funny way. We always felt that we were a little bit underappreciated for how talented we were and how much work we put in, and we strove for so many years to get the recognition that we really deserved, we felt, and now we have that recognition and we might have that spotlight on us, but that's what we've worked so hard for, that's what we've driven for, so we're relishing it and we're enjoying every minute of it.
So I suppose the last time you met Canada, you drew. So do you think that you're more prepared? Are you looking at this game a bit differently than the last time?
I think this time around, we're just focused on one team. We played them twice, so we've started looking at them over the last couple of weeks, and we're just taking our time, getting through everything, getting through their strengths, their weaknesses, trying to figure out how we'll organise ourselves and set our game plan. So yeah, we're busy with the prep and the training, and I think we're getting through it all. We've obviously got a good bit of time together now in the next 2 weeks to really hone in on what the game plan will be. So
I suppose with everything going on, what would it mean to you to qualify for the Olympics?
So I suppose this is my third Olympic cycle, and each Olympic qualifier has been a different process, so a little bit crazy, but now this Olympic qualifiers has turned into almost like a Champions League in the football with a two-legged game, and the winner takes all, so aggregate score over both legs. So there has to be a winner on the Sunday, but the big thing for us is that both games are going to be at home, so we're really hoping that the home crowd is going to get us over the line.
This will be my third attempt at going for an Olympic, so it would be definitely the icing on the cake, especially after the success we had at the World Cup last year. The team has worked so hard to get to where we've got to, and it's really been a journey over those last 10, 11 years. So to get to Tokyo this time around I think it would be deserved for all the hard work, and it really would show just how far hockey in Ireland has really come.
Okay, Olympic qualifier on home soil. That's not too bad. So it's going to be actually in where the Irish women's rugby team have their home games. They're flipping that into a hockey pitch. So get to Energia Park. If you want to help out or be part of the volunteers, jump on to hockey.ie and you'll find out more information. So that's going to be Whopper. And now we're coming to the end of the show. Final segment. I was going to start doing the final countdown.
Your hair is getting larger by the second.
It's so big. I think it's the lights. I can feel it weighing on my head.
It's good, girl.
It's big, yeah. I can hide stuff in it. Anyway, so your last show, how much you gonna miss me?
Oh, so much. I know I was gonna try and be really sassy there and be not that much, but I'm gonna miss play-by-play so much.
Okay, so I thought it was gonna be me.
No, specifically Niamh and
yeah, this is great. Okay, what are you gonna miss the most?
You, girl.
Oh, okay. So it's way too long, and that was forced, but fine. Okay, so when are you actually heading off?
I'm flying out on the 3rd November. So I arrive then. I'm heading out. So Australia's really far away. It's anyone to know.
Turns out.
Yeah. But at least you know the capital, right?
Shut up, Jenny. Sorry, Jenny. I still don't remember what that was. Yeah. So flying out at 8 a.m. On the 3rd and arriving really late on the 4th.
Okay.
I'm that is lots of...
And do you have to go training on the 5th? Straight
No,
away?
So the group aren't together as a group until mid-November. So I'll get say a week done in kind of a smaller group of people who, yeah.
And have you chatted to any of the girls that are out there already?
Yeah, they've been so good to me. So obviously when the news was released, lots of them have been on to me. They seem really sound, obviously, and yeah, they've all just been really good. They were if you need anything or if you have any questions or anything, let me know. But the people I've been dealing with from the club, like Todd and Mick and stuff, are really good. So I actually can just be really transparent with them and be do you have Barry's tea bags over there?
Well, actually, speaking of, right, I got you a little something there. It's not actually just a box of Barry's tea, by the way.
Oh. Hashtag Paddy Box. Thank you so much.
You can have a
I don't know whether I'll get up and hug you, but I'm going to.
It's fine, we can hug.
Thanks a mil.
Yeah.
And thank you, play-by-play.
Have a look inside. Actually, do we pack the rude stuff in there, or is it legit?
Oh, no.
Okay, I think it's okay.
You rude. Never.
Yeah.
Look, don't forget where you came from.
We got emotional as well. We went a bit soft.
Oh, guys. This is... Your mammy always told you sharing is caring. No.
That's fine. Fair. Well, you need your Taylor classics.
So many nice things.
We know that you spoke
These
about...
are my favourite.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Stop crying.
No, curly word. Yeah, you mentioned Ballymilly relish, so it's that needs to go in there.
Oh my God. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nevo. And Conan and everybody.
Yeah,
And Jenny.
pretty good. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Come back. Aisling, we've got this pen for you. So
You should
actually I like
that
this
actually
pen.
looks like a
So
good pen.
yeah,
I'll
hold
take
on.
that.
We'll figure but we'll have you back next season. So, we can
Looking
talk
forward
about
to it.
macros
I'll come
when she's
replace
not here.
Niamh anyway while she's gone. Yeah.
Oh, no. Don't face me.
Right, listen, that's pretty much all we've got time for. We covered a fair amount today. Before we go, Aisling, what's coming up for Camogie?
So we are final stages of Dublin Championship at the moment. So that final is on Sunday at 3. No pitch yet.
For feck's sake.
But hopefully if we keep an eye on Dublin Camogie, there'll be one announced soon.
Do you think it will be in Dublin?
It will be in Dublin.
It's the Dublin Championship.
Well, from the sounds of it, sometimes maybe it mightn't be in Dublin. So
It'd be great if he's got Parnell Park.
Yeah, I would not expect to see that happen. If we, well, whoever qualifies for Leinster then, so the winners of the Dublin Championship this year will play the winners of Kilkenny and Wexford in the semi-final, and that game might potentially be in Parnell Park. Those games are sometimes in Parnell Park. So whoever comes out of Dublin will end up playing the winners of Kilkenny and Wexford, and I think that's a home game for Dublin.
Lovely.
I think so this year. So that's another one that can be
could
watched.
be Parnell Park.
Maybe we just keep putting that idea out
Yeah, I'm
there.
just going to keep on doing that. Just like that's all. Yeah, we're just kind of like subliminal messaging of Parnell Park all throughout this. So we can like post-edit it later on. Okay, so Camogie going up and then studying away loads. So you guys did the same course, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Niamh was texting me during the week for some advice that I wasn't able to give her.
Aisling was texting. Yeah, about like.
Oh, yeah. Aisling, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Niamh Maher. Aisling Maher.
No, I call everyone my own name. I don't heard it all. Yeah, so like all like that's
I'm
great.
sorry, Aisling.
Guys, thanks so much for coming on the show. Obviously, you've mortified yourself for the very last
Aisling,
time.
I'm so sorry.
Macros is on.
Jenny, shut up. Let me apologise in peace. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, apologise.
I'm sorry.
Forgiven.
Okay, well, that's all Macros has time for in season 1. Ballsing up and apologising, insulting our panel. Great. We miss you, pal. We'll miss you.
Thank you so much.
Ash, thanks very much for coming on the show again. Thank you so much to everyone listening. It's been a hell of a season so far. One more to go. Thanks.
Yay.
Boom.